DTEX Systems. Marshall, fantastic to have you here. Thanks for joining me today.
Judy, thank you so much for having me. It's my pleasure.
It is my pleasure. So now, Marshall, you recently took the position as CEO at DTEX Systems after a 17-year run with Mandiant. So why did you make this jump and why now?
Yeah, that's a great question. Thank you. I am blessed to have had a fantastic experience at Mandiant. I got every opportunity available to have the jobs that I wanted, to get the technical experience that I wanted, move into a management leadership position. It was a great career. And I got to see the company grow from a small startup into ultimately a public company, and then culminating in the sale to Google. So from there, what I wanted to do was I wanted to take the next step in my career journey. For me, it's all about the mission, right? How can I keep companies and employees safe? So I started looking around what other areas of security are there that really need some attention, right? What can I go and disrupt? Where are there not a ton of vendors trying to do solve the same problem? And so when I looked across the landscape, I found insider risk. And what I found in insider risk was a market that if you talk to CISOs, it's in their top 3 to 5 priorities of the things that keep them up at night, but not necessarily the thing that they're funding adequately. So when I looked around, I found a company called DTEX that I felt was well primed to really disrupt the market with a little bit of help and a little bit of leadership from someone who'd gone through this experience beforehand, and I was lucky enough to get the opportunity to try my hand at it.
Now tell me, what is an insider risk and why can they be so damaging to an organization?
Sure. So an insider risk is anyone that has access to data at a company. So if you think about it, it's your board, it's your C-suite, all the way down to your newest and your most junior employee. It's also the attorneys that you work with, it's your partners, it's your supply chain. So it's anyone who has access into your systems and into your data. Now where it gets really interesting is all risks are not created equal. Me as an insider, I could do something intentionally malicious because I want to hurt the company, right? Or I have some other ulterior motive. I could be negligent. I could be doing something that I know I'm not supposed to, but it's not really malicious. Sometimes I'm unintentionally negligent, so I just do something I didn't mean to do, but it accidentally hurt the company. Or maybe I've been compromised by a nation state. From my former background, maybe a nation state came in, broke into my account, leveraged my account to do something malicious. I didn't actually do it. However, my user account did it. That's still, malicious insider activity.
Mm-hmm. All right, now tell me, how is DTEX Systems different from other companies out there that are similar?
So, how much time do we have? I'll list a couple of areas. From the highest level of abstraction, we simply solve for customers' problems. So when it comes to managing insider risk, there's a couple things you want to be able to do. You want to understand the context behind why an action happened. If I, as Marshall Heilman, go and send some data out of the environment, that could have been malicious because I did it intentionally, or it could have been non-malicious because I was taking a bunch of data, sending it all out, and I accidentally sent something out I shouldn't have. So the context really matters behind, why I do a thing. So what we try and do is we do a bunch of behavioral analytics to try and predict which users are going to become more risky or not based upon their behavioral patterns or what's happening in their life. So what we give the companies the ability to look across their employee landscape and say, this company or this employee is intentionally malicious, this one is probably just negligent, or this one is not malicious, but he's so negligent, he's just not paying attention to what he's doing. He's at higher risk of doing something malicious to our organization than others. So from that perspective, we just solve the customer's problem. But a couple other things that we do that really differentiate us, we take a human focus to insider risk. So a lot of organizations try and take log data and other telemetry, stitch it together to understand from a computer perspective, what was someone doing, what actually happened. We look at the psychosocial context behind why a user would take an action. So for example, with the parable I gave you earlier, if I were to send some data out of the environment, what did I do a month prior? Was I sending data out of the environment in different ways, which shows my intent to try and figure out a way to take data maliciously from an organization? Very different from this is the first time I've ever done a thing and I just made a mistake. So we really focus on the behavioral aspect of it. We purposely built our platform to operate, as we say, at the intersection of data loss prevention, user behavioral analytics, and user activity monitoring. And those are 3 monikers that other organizations use to try and solve insider risk, but from a point product perspective. We natively stitch that information together, leverage the behavioral science that we spend so much time crafting to understand what is this particular user doing, why are they doing it, and looking at it from all aspects of what an insider risk would be. And finally, we really value employee privacy. We're not out there to try and be Big Brother. What we are is we're an organization that gives organizations the ability to understand where their risks are and mitigate those risks without invading employee privacy. So we have a pseudo-anonymization patent that allows us to take data from, let's say, your computer, anonymize it so that I, as a security analyst, I don't see that as Judy Shaw. I simply see random characters. And so when your particular account has risen to a level of risk that I, as a company, think is unhealthy or I need to do something about, we can go authorize the unlocking of the data, we de-anonymize it. Now the organization can see, oh, okay, it's Judy Shaw that we need to go investigate. It's a way of protecting your privacy, it's a way of getting rid of the inherent biases that we all have. We just kind of abstract that away. So organizations only have to focus on where the biggest risks are.
All right, now we know that AI is transforming industries. Tell me, how is DTEX leveraging AI to help its customers manage risk, insider risk?
Yeah, another great question. So we've always used machine learning in our platform, from years and years ago. But when we talk about AI, I want to talk just about like what's become popular in today's society, like how people are talking about artificial intelligence. So we built the capability into our product that tries to make the user experience significantly better by first of all making it easier. So instead of having to be an insider risk expert, so really understanding how do humans behave, why would they take a certain action, now they can simply ask, who are my riskiest users? Why is Judy my most risky users? What has she done, right? What data has she taken out of the environment? You can just ask very simple questions, natural questions. We give you the responses, and then we give you the questions we expect you to ask next. So why is Judy Shaw, my most risky user? Well, because she took these 3 actions. Great. Show me more context about those actions, and it pre-populates all that information for you. So it just makes the entire experience easier, so that you don't have to be an expert in insider risk. You can be really anyone in a company that now has a job in insider risk, and you can leverage our platform. So we really try and make the experience a little bit easier. The other thing we try and do is when you're doing investigations, so you're deep diving what a user had did and why they did it, we try and outline those steps for you to say, in this particular experience, we think you should take these steps. You should look for this type of information, and this is what we think that information means to you. So again, we're guiding these users so that they can have a better and simpler experience with our product. Because we all know, complexity kills products, but simplicity allows companies to better leverage products.
Now, it seems like you've been very busy since you assumed the role of CEO. So tell me, what have you and your team been up to?
Yeah, so we've been up to a lot, as you said. Probably the biggest news that we've had recently is we just raised capital from Capital G. It's a Series E funding. Capital G is an organization that I personally really wanted as my partner in this journey, because not only were they able to bring capital to the table, but they also bring a wealth of experience just in the industry and helping other companies like CrowdStrike and Zscaler do extremely well. And so that was the type of partner that I wanted. So first of all, we raised some funding. Second of all, we built out a federal team. So the U.S. federal government actually has a mandate from an executive order that President Obama signed back in 2011 that requires federal agencies to report insider risk activity. So it's basically a funded, budgeted line item in almost every federal agency there is. And so that seems like a market that is ripe for disruption. Every other week or so, you're seeing another article come out about an insider having done something bad in the military. They're leaking classified information. They're selling that information to foreign governments. And so forth. So it seems like a great market to go after. So we built out, our federal team there, and then finally we doubled down on some major bets in the platform. I'm not going to publicly talk about what we're doing there, but we've decided there's a couple aspects of our platform that we really want to double down and make just that much better and enhance for our existing customers.
All right. Well, Marshall, sounds like exciting things happening over at DTEX Systems. Thank you so much for joining me on Floor Talk today.
Thank you, Jude.